Perhaps like some of you, being confined to home and my office, I'm getting projects done that have been on my to-do list for years. One of them is cleaning out my filing cabinets. They've gone from not being able to put a paper clip in to being drawers that are only half full. But the wonderful thing about doing something like this is not only that it's kind of liberating and freeing, but you also find treasures that you lost a long time ago. One of the things I came across was a wonderful little story from the book by Chaim Potok. Chaim Potok was an American Jewish rabbi who was also a celebrated author. And in his book, My Name is Asher Lev, he has this wonderful scene. The young Asher Lev, as a boy, is walking down the street with his father, and he sees in the road a bird that has died. He asks his father, because he doesn't want to look at the bird, is he dead? And the father says, yes, he is. And Asher says, why did he die? The father says, everything that lives has to die. But why does everything have to die that lives? The boy asks. Even you, Papa and Mama? The father says, yes, and even you, Asher, after we hope you've lived a long and good life. But why, Papa? Why does everything that lives have to die? And the father says, so life would be precious, Asher. Something that is yours is never precious if it lives forever. Life would be precious, Asher. That's why things have to die. We're living in a time when we're surrounded by, I think we could say we're surrounded by death. This global crisis, this coronavirus crisis that we're having is universal. It's affecting people throughout the world. We've had crises before, natural disasters or terrorist attacks or a war someplace, but they're usually localized and they might affect some part of the world's population. But what we're going through now really affects every single human person. It's as if the whole world is coming apart at the seams, and we realize, perhaps like we've never realized before, how absolutely fragile everything is in our lives and in our world. How our routines, how everything that we take for granted can suddenly stop. Everything suddenly, when that happens, becomes more precious to us because we realize that it's been given to us as a gift, but it's something that we have only for a time. Now, when we celebrate Holy Week here, and we're celebrating Holy Week like we've never celebrated it before because we're not able to gather together. So we're going to be doing things virtually, online, on our website, on our Facebook page. It's a whole different dynamic, isn't it? And it enables us to step back and say, well, we're missing something. We're missing this community of faith, being together as God's people. We're missing the rituals. We're missing the sacraments, things that perhaps we take for granted so often or took for granted so often. And suddenly, now that they're gone, we realize how precious, how very precious they are. We have a tradition here at St. Joseph University that we began maybe 20 years ago or more when we read the Passion. We read the Passion of St. Matthew today, and on Good Friday we read the Passion of St. John. But when we read that, the rubrics say that perhaps the priest should be the voice of Jesus. But for years what we've been doing is we've been having the whole congregation, everybody, speak the words of Jesus Christ. But this year, somebody said something to us that made us change our mind a little bit, because the choir usually is the crowd. The Latin word is the turba, the people that are yelling the insults at Jesus and that. They said, why do we always have to be the bad guys? And so we said, all right, this year we're going to do something different. Everyone, including the choir, we're all going to speak the words of Jesus, but we're also all going to speak the words of the crowd. We're going to speak the words of Jesus that bring peace and healing and hope and joy to the world. But we also have to say, we speak the words of the crowd that bring violence and hatred and bias and anger and hostility and destruction. We have the one voice, and we can use it to do one thing or the other. We can do with one voice, we can speak the words of Jesus, or we can speak the words of the hostile crowd. We're living in a world where people don't need to hear more words of hostility, where they need to hear words of peace, of hope, of joy, of healing, and of love. So be the voice of Jesus for that world today, and speak those words to everything that is precious in your life, and speak those words of love and gratitude to everyone who is precious in your life.